Okay, so let's just settle into our meditation posture. I've just come out of the mindfulness meditation course, and we looked at this idea of, well, first of all, being mindful in terms of the thoughts that we're thinking. So tracking our thoughts. So we'll do a little bit of that in a minute. But also, very importantly, this idea of generating loving kindness towards ourselves. So we're used to generating loving kindness towards the people we love, towards our animals, black cat, for example. But do we generate that kind of loving kindness towards ourselves? And so it's good to keep that in the back of your mind. I mean, this is a Vajrasattva meditation, not a mindful, not a loving kindness meditation, but it's good to remember that when we are generating loving kindness for another person, or we're feeling gratitude towards another person, then turn that around towards yourself as well. I mean, it must be inside you anyway, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to generate it. But try redirecting that love that you have, and then see what your reaction is when you do that. How do you respond? Do you go, oh, no, I can't do that? Or do you just allow it? Or do you somewhere in between? So anyway, let's just settle into our meditation. We don't have Hin with us tonight. I'm not sure how she's doing, but I'll check in with her. And if you are, you're sitting at your desk and feet are flat on the floor, about a hip's width apart, and lengthen the spine, relax the shoulders, and just release any tension from the crown of the head all the way down to the soles of the feet. Just bring your attention now to, first of all, the sensations in the body. There may be some tingling on the skin or some pressure on your sits bones. Just be aware of all the different sensations. Some of them sensations may be pleasant. Some may be a little bit uncomfortable. So those that are pleasant, just enjoy. And those that are a little bit uncomfortable, maybe just recognize you don't have to move immediately. And then we can notice the sensation of the air as you're breathing in and out. One person in the meditation said they found it very distracting to focus on the breath. But actually, when you're focusing on the breath, you are focusing on the sensations at the nostrils. And then you're looking at a sensation. So just be aware for a moment of the sounds that are in your environment, and just allow those sounds to be there, trying not to follow with your mind. And then notice the thoughts as they're arising. And take a step back from those thoughts and try and recognize them as I'm thinking. And you can perhaps even identify them a little bit further and as, oh, that's a thought where that's a planning kind of a thinking. That is a fantasy. That's not even real. Those thoughts. That is an opinion that's coming up. So try and categorize your thoughts. Oh, that's a memory. Oh, that's interesting. There's some anger. So you're almost like an objective observer. And then if you wish, you can do one of two things. You can breathe those thoughts out, just release them, let them go. You can also just imagine you're releasing a helium balloon. And then bring to mind all the people of your life, those ones you love very, very dearly. Those ones who are not so beloved to you. And then there's all those strangers in your life, remembering these relationships could shift and change at any time. And think how amazing, because we're all the same in our wish to be happy and our wish to be free from suffering. I think we'll do this meditation this evening for all these people of our life, and by extension, all sentient beings. So I think there is no negativity that cannot be purified. And this purification process is basically a psychological one. We create negativity with our mind, so we can equally create positivity instead. So we start with the power of regret. So sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you have done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all past lives. And think of specific actions of both your body and your speech. And then in general, regret all. And the reason for regret is based on this logic of karma. And we experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions. And having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future. We cannot bear the thought of any future suffering that we ourselves will experience. And we know from our present suffering, we don't want any more. So logically, it makes sense to remove the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So think like this: I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering, and also regret any anger, attachment, and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others. And think again, I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So here we come to the power of reliance. So we rely upon, we turn to the Buddha, the doctor who has the methods that we can use to purify. And it's not that we're needing the Buddha to forgive us. We're not looking for some higher power to take care of things for us. We're purifying ourselves by relying upon his methods. So you can imagine Vajrasattva above the crown of your head. You can also imagine this is your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. So you can imagine Vajrasattva there, facing the same direction as you, maybe a little bit, maybe a couple of inches above the crown of your head, made of radiant, blissful white light, sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion. There's this beautiful, radiant face, bright face. His eyes are long, shaped like lotus petals, and they're peaceful and full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. He has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. His arms are crossed at his heart, the left underneath the right. The left is holding a bell representing wisdom, and the right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion. Their being crossed represents the union of these two, which symbolizes enlightenment itself, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva, may I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So in order to develop compassion, we need to rely upon other beings, very beings we have harmed, and those who have harmed us, by developing compassion for them. So think in particular of someone you have harmed recently, or some sentient being, and then in the past, and then perhaps all beings you have ever harmed since beginningless time. And then remember those who have harmed you and have compassion for them, because they're going to suffer as a result of the harm that they have done to you. So make a strong aspiration to do this practice of purification for their sake, and think I must purify for their sake. And now we come to the power of the remedy. And this is the actual medicine doing the practice of purification. And they're the three there. We start with the body. Sorry. And Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful white nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart. And it arcs around, enters your crown, and pours into your entire body, filling you completely. And it pours into your entire body, and it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you have ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid. And this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left, as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dita Mebova Sutokaya Mebova Sipokaya Mebova Anarakta Mebova Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sutame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hom Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dita Mebova Sutokaya Mebova Sipokaya Mebova Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hom Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hom Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hom Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hom Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hom Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hom Pe. So be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is completely purified, and think there is no way you could do anything but benefit others now with your body. So the next is a purification of speech. And again, Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and it arcs around and forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech. And this overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. So just imagine all the gossip and the harsh speech and useless speech and inappropriate speech and lying and talking badly about others behind their backs and kind of not knowing what to say, somehow kind of being embarrassed about what you've said. All of this completely purified and by this powerful nectar filling you as you recite the mantra. Om Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hom Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hom Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dida miboa, sitokaya miboa, sipokaya miboa, anarakta miboa, sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kamasita me, sitam shriyam kuruhum, ha 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 ho, bhagawan, sawa tata gata vajramami mutsa vajrabawa, mahasamaya sata a hompe, ambajasapa samaya manupalaya, vajrasapa dina patita, dida miboa, sitokaya miboa, sipokaya miboa, anarakta miboa, sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kamasita me, Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hompe and Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Miboa Sitokaya Miboa Sipokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hompe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Didu Miboa Sitokaya Miboa Sipokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hompe. So again, feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified, and imagine it's not possible to do anything but benefit others now with your speech. So just imagine you're full of this appropriate, wise, blessed speech, such as anything that every single syllable that falls out of your mouth is beneficial not only to other beings, but also to yourself. And the next is a purification of the mind. And Vajrasattva now very compassionately sends powerful beams of light from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and enters your crown and fills your entire being. So it's just the same as when you walk into a pitch black room, you flick on the light switch, that light instantly dispels the darkness. So just imagine the moment the light from Vajrasattva's heart touches your heart chakra, all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, so all the attachment and neediness and anger and depression and bitterness and grudges and anxiety and jealousy, all this instantly dispelled, not one atom left, as you recite the mantra. Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Supokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Savasiti Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Supokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Sipokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Sipokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Sipokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Dida Miboa Sitokaya Miboa Sipokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hompe. So again, be delighted that all your delusions, which are the source of all of your suffering and the cause of why all of us harm others with our body and our speech, imagine they're totally purified, and think there's no space in your heart now for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. So next is the purification of even the imprints of negativity of the body, speech, and mind. So you imagine the Vajrasattva sends light and nectar again, and it fills you completely and eradicates even the subtlest imprints of negative energy from the mind as you recite the mantra. Vajrasappa samaya manupalaya Vajrasappa dina patita dina meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawasedi mempi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramame mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva ahom pe Vajrasappa samaya manupalaya Vajrasappa dina patita dina meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasedi mempi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramame mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva ahom pe. Vajrasappa samaya manupalaya Vajrasappa dina patita. Dida meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa. Anarakta meboa sawasedi mempi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramame mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva ahom pe. Vajrasappa samaya manupalaya Vajrasappa dina patita. Dida meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa. Anarakta meboa sawasedi mempi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramame mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva ahom pe. Vajrasappa samaya manupalaya Vajrasappa dina patita. Dida meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa. Anarakta meboa sawasedi mempi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramame mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva ahom pe. Vajrasappa samaya manupalaya Vajrasappa dina patita. Dida meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa. Anarakta meboa sawasedi mempi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramame mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva ahom pe. Vajrasappa samaya manupalaya Vajrasappa dina patita. Dida meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa. Anarakta meboa sawasedi mempi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramame mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva ahom pe. So now feel completely purified. There's, imagine, that not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. Even the subtlest obscurations to your enlightenment have been removed. And now we come to the power of resolve, and this is the fourth and final step in the purification process, but a really crucial one. And this is the determination to not harm with our body and speech and mind. At the very least, to try and attempt to refrain from harming. And without this conscious thought in our mind, without this decision in our mind, nothing's going to really happen. So this determination or aspiration to not harm again is like a beacon that guides our body and our speech and our mind in new directions. So Rinpoche used to say everything exists on the tip of the wish, the aspiration. So we've got to want to do it. We have to decide. So just decide, I don't want to harm, and I'd like to work on something. So maybe you'd like to refrain from something for 5 seconds or a week or a year or a month. But choose a timeline that's going to work for you. So don't just say, I'm going to stop doing this for a year, and then next week all of a sudden you're doing it again. So then it's better to reel in that timeline to maybe a minute, which might be more realistic. So just think of something you'd like to work on. You can meditate on that for a minute. Imagine Vajrasattva is delighted with us and wanting to merge with your mind. He melts into white light and absorbs into you through your crown. And think my Guru's body, speech, and mind, and Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same thing. So next, think a little bit about emptiness. In emptiness, there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma, and there is no negative karma created. So at whatever level you understand emptiness, place your mind there for a little while, and we can think of all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. And you can also think that perhaps the way things appear to me may not necessarily be the way they exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy you've created doing this purification to all living beings, and think, may all the virtue I've created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparably kind Tenzin Gyatso, I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. And this is a very sweet prayer by Leilung Rinpoche. The lamp of the Gaiden teachings, the supreme refuge Lama Zopa, has departed in order to rouse the Dharma disciples who cling to permanence. Supreme Being, you took upon yourself the Kadam teacher's way of life and were bound to it night and day, greatly benefiting the teachings and transmigratory beings. Great master of the teachings, supreme guide for East and West, hidden yogi, Thupten Zopa. Unrivaled Lama Zopa, you took His Holiness, the Sovereign Lord of the Victorious Ones, as your crown and followed all his instructions. Benefactor Lama Zopa, for the many public and personal needs of Tibetans and others, you opened the vase of resources and cleared away the suffering of hardship. One of great mind, Lama Zopa, you held helpless and voiceless animals with a mind of loving kindness, and were their holy savior and protector. Siddha Lama Zopa, Lord of the ocean of mandalas, with the wings of emptiness and compassion, you crossed the waters of the generation and completion stages. Lama Thupten Zopa, great hidden yogi, ornament of the activities of the Gaiden teachings, in truth a great son of the victorious ones. Having thought of me and other transmigratory beings of the degenerate age, from receipt of lotus and sun at the heart of Sangwa Yeshi, may the jewel that fulfills all wishes, emanating again with the brilliance of 10,000 suns, smile swiftly and without obstacles to our eyes filled with tears of faith. And for Lama Ursul, Venerable One, to you whose kindness exceeds that of all the conquerors, for those wanderers in far-off places, especially the West, mindful of your loving concern for us in intentionally descending again into a family of a far distant land, we make this request, O Lama, please live long. And for Geshe Shira, beloved teacher, leading your students toward wisdom and compassion, explaining through exacting discernment the steps of the graduated path, you are the unequal guide. Please live a long and stable life. Okay, everyone. Alexis, thank you so much for hosting, and anybody else who was guarding the door. And lots of love, everybody. Have a safe weekend, and I look forward to seeing you on Monday. Okay. Thank you so much.